Salam, guys. Bronze 3 here. Let's hit this motherfucking shit, bitches. I'm sorry. There are sons of bitches here. Anyways.
May Lord Lao illuminate your... This is what my ceaseless toil finally yields. No shame in taking the pills.
I was a miracle,
More
you
unfair
bitch.
are the
I'm
innate
killing people.
skills.
2 drops, honey. Remember, young friend, a six makes one 60, many six makes two.
I've spent my whole... A monkey? Oh, who's... that?
We already know.
That shit scared the fuck out of me. I thought I was a girl. Shit. No, this shit's blood, man. You know what I feel like? Sword Taoist. To seek the Tao, he journeys far. With steadfast heart, he finds the gate and adapts of sword skills. He glimpses roots of ascension's innate. Every 10 years, a temple of yellow flowers opens doors to recruit disciples. One day, a newly admitted young Taoist discovered that the disciples focused on innate practices were divided into 3 different groups based on their skills. One group used staffs, another used flyweights, and a third used swords. The young Taoist observed them closely, noticed that the disciples who used staffs and flyweights were also responsible for various chores around the temple and had less favorable living conditions. In contrast, the disciples who used swords only needed to focus on their training, and they were even privileged to receive daily guidance from the master. Young Dallas secretly consulted the senior disciples and found out that the sword disciples were also the quickest to achieve enlightenment and ascension. However, becoming a disciple of the sword of the sword group was no easy task. It required passing a rigorous examination by the master, and only those deemed to have the highest potential were given the opportunity. The young Taoist visited each senior disciple, noting down the questions the master had asked them in the past, and made thorough preparations. Eventually, he succeeded in his endeavor and winning first place. The master personally tied his hair into a top knot and bestowed upon him a sword. From the moment he joined the sword group, he woke up early every day to train under the supervision of Beetle Commander. In the afternoon, he strengthened his ki under the master's guidance. Though life was monotonous and arduous, he was very content. After more than a decade of rigorous cultivation, the disciples of Sword Group finally earned the master's approval. The master informed them that their skills were now proficient enough for them to enter the mountains for secluded meditation, and they were fortunate enough they could achieve their ascension. Kind of felt bad. Didn't even give him a chance to hit me.
That face! Talking about
Flying whisked Dallas, the wide robe and crane's cloak flutter in the breeze. Why compare the righteous with the unrighteous, please? Praising virtues and merits disturb the sweet dream. Whisking dust and sweeping earth disrupts the serene theme. In Petfall Hamlet lived a Taoist. He had taken his vows last and was the youngest, and thus the Grandmaster doted on him. He too was glad to wait on the Grandmaster at all times. If the Grandmaster extended a hand, he served tea. If the Grandmaster lifted a foot, he removed his shoe. He swatted flies, fanned the breeze, made the bed, and tidied the covers quick and thorough in his duties. The Grandmaster favored him greatly. His fellow disciples burned with jealousy, but they couldn't stoop to such fawning. They could only speak ill of him behind his back and bully him to vent their ire. One day, the Grandmaster held a test to assess his disciples' learning. When it was the turn of the youngest, he decided to be lenient with him. He only asked him to recite a passage from the scripture of Tao Te Ching. The young disciple put on a smug face and chanted it in a loud, clear voice. The Tao produced one, one, produced one, one, produced two, two, produced three, three, produced all things. Oh, interesting. The other disciples had long awaited this moment, and their wish was finally granted. They roared with laughter and even stole glances at the Grand Master to see his reaction. The Grand Master, furious, stormed off in a huff. The other disciples then warned the young one, "You've committed a grave blunder," and incited his anger to say, "Don't dream of learning any solid skills from now on." After that instant, the Grand Master shunned the younger disciple. Damn. After that instant, the Grand Master shunned the youngest disciple. But then he found he had no one to wait on him properly. Over time, he reminisced about the young disciple's tentative. Before long, the disciple was summoned to serve him again, but when he saw the disciple's disinterest in Taoist learning, his aversion returned. One day, the young disciple implored the Grand Master to teach him some skills, and the Grand Master took the fly swatting fan, waving motion the boy did each day, and made them into a set of moves. Who knows if it was meant as sarcasm? In the end, he taught the boy those moves and wind wielding techniques, and that was all the boy could hope for. Interesting. It's a pretty long range and interesting. Oh, this motherfucker ambushed me.
Who brought malice to this land?
The fly swatters are a bit more difficult. Grants considerable chance to take a sit without consuming gourd uses. Okay. BC. Okay.
Protect the temple! Stay vigilant!
Staff Dallas. Fairy mountains, clouds and waters are connected to the horizon, and home is nowhere to be seen. Holding a stick, I walked far into a dangerous nest and enjoyed the white snow and yellow buds. Long ago, a mountain village sat on a ridge teeming with insects. Strange things kept happening, so the villagers all moved out, leaving a deserted village. In the mountain below lived a young man. His mother had died, and his father was a poor wastrel who paid him no mind. The villagers looked down on him and often abused him. He felt he couldn't endure such disdain, so he fled to live in an abandoned village. Little did he know that the village was claimed by a swarm of insect guais. As soon as the young man reached the ridge, the Yaguai seized him. He didn't fight back, as a deep-rooted death which stemmed from a life without attachments had long infested his heart. Seeing his resignation, the insects didn't harm him. Instead, they provided him a shelter in a dilapidated shack. Middle-aged Taoist brought him food and clothing. I heard you have nowhere to go, so I brought you some things for daily use. If you don't mind, take me as your master and stay here. I can teach you practices for ascension. The youth hadn't been cared for in so long, he eagerly donned the Taoist robe and performed the rites to acknowledge his master. From then on, he lived and trained with the insect guides. They spent their days dining and walking together, and at night they slept side by side. One day, a scholar barged into a young man's room. I just escaped from the Yaguai's lair. They trapped me in a cocoon sack, and I'm unsure of their intentions. I'm fleeing this place. You're human. You should come with me. The young man shook his head. I'm content here. Why should I leave? The scholar grew angry. Because they're Yaguais and you're human. Even if they don't harm you, staying with them long enough will turn you into a Yaguai as well. You're right, the young man said as he grabbed his staff and knocked the scholar to the ground. But even if I turn into a Yaguai, I'll do so gladly. The scholar deemed that the young man was past saving, gritted his teeth against the pain. He crawled out the door and fled alone. Interesting. Snake herbalist. Pine, bamboo, plum grant him a blue hue. Yeah, hearts of jackals, tigers, and leopards he possesses true. Collecting herbs from mountains and streams, no desire to aid the world, lost in selfish dreams. In the old days, there was a Taoist temple at the foot of Purple Cloud Mountain. An ascetic Taoist nun, worn from her long travels, sought shelter there. And one night, the temple nun, moved by her devotion, offered her hot water and fresh clothes. As she bathed, the nun heard a sound from the rafters. Without showing any sign of alarm, she put on her robe and nonchalantly picked up her fly whisk. With a gentle flick, the whisk stretched and curled with her motions, snaking up to the rafters and seizing Yao Guai. Alerted by the commotion, the temple nuns rushed into the room to investigate. On the ground crouched a snake guai with green scales. Unfazed by its capture, it seemed the nun had been its prior victims. Now taking turns to scold it, the snake guai looked at them with contempt and puffed out its cheeks to spew green venom in every direction. Anyone struck by even dropped collapsed at once, writhing in pain. As the guai had no remorse, the young took out a wispy golden needle prepared to destroy it. Only then did the snake show fear. It pleaded at once. I'm just a lesser herbalist guai from the mountain, and my basket outside is the antidote for them. Please, will you spare my life, immortal lady? Hearing its sincere plea, a nun granted it mercy. The guai rummaged in his basket and handed her some small white pellets. These are the leaves of pearl tree. They're rare in the mortal world and can cure all venoms. It fed one to each Taoist nun, and they recovered at once. After that, the temple always had tree pearls on hand, and many afflicted by venom came here to seek aid. But the high cost of a tree pearl meant many unable to afford it had to face a toxin's fatal outcome. Yep. I thought that motherfucker was a mini boss. That ain't no damn snake. Snake sheriff. A head so large, a tail so thin, 7 feet long, a patterned form, electric eyes, fierce and strong with tiger stripes and boasts with pride. Yet beneath its head, a strange guise hides. In the mountain, there was a tiger with a strong desire for a Tao. Hoping to become a disciple under an accomplished immortal, he traveled across high mountains, great rivers, seeking a Taoist temple. However, his Taoist affinity was thin, and he couldn't find a master willing to accept him until he reached the webbed ridge. At first, the immortal master disdained him for being a mere tiger, unlike his other disciples, and refused to meet him. The tiger knelt outside the mountain gate for several days without rising. The immortal master, sensing his sincerity, gave him a chance and accepted him as an outer disciple. Unexpectedly, the tiger had no steadfastness. After the initial fervor, he didn't put in the effort. The immoral master advised him, once practice relies on oneself, not the master. But the tiger couldn't grasp this and was punished to guard the mountain at force of ferocity. Feeling resentful, the tiger became even lazier, spending his days lying idly under a tree and cursing his master to pass the time. One day, while half asleep under the tree, complaining about his master, he suddenly heard a soft sigh and felt something slip into his mouth. Startled, he sat up, but there was no one around. He retched for a long time, but couldn't spell anything, thinking it was just a dream. After some time, the tiger's neck became long. Hmm. After some time, the tiger's neck became long and thin, and he could no longer speak. He diligently patrolled the floors of ferocity every day. People whispered among themselves. He started his Taoist practice with enthusiasm, but ended poorly. The master must have punished him, which is why he looks like this now. From now on, we'd best be careful. Damn. Yeah. The Flywist one is definitely the more tougher, in my opinion.
Evil.
Yeah. Flywist, that's definitely the more tougher one, I'll tell you that.
Practice demands hunger. Be balanced.
These guys, these shits on. I'm gonna kill myself, you bitches, because of you. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm not gonna actually kill myself. Then you could. worm practitioner, selling pills to hasten flight and tainted streams he shares of light. Better to seek the straight and true than in the crooked paths pursue. The disciples who practiced swordsmanship in the temple had been training under their master for a long time. Since joining the group, they had all harbored the wish to attain ascension, diligently practicing their skills with great perseverance. One day, the master finally informed his disciples that after years of rigorous training, their skills had become proficient. He told them that they could now follow him into the mountain for a secluded meditation. If they were fortunate, they might achieve ascension and become immortals. The disciples were overjoyed and eagerly packed their belongings to follow their master into the mountains. The master led them using a teleportation technique to a breathtakingly beautiful mountain. The mountain was rustling golden leaves, presenting a scene of crisp, refreshing autumn weather. At the mountain's peak, there was a hamlet where they set down their belongings. The master then led them along a path behind the hamlet to the summit. There they saw strands of silk hanging in the air, with one end suspended into mountain mist and the other reaching high into the clouds. Destination unknown. The master said, "This is a celestial ladder to the immortal kingdom. Hundreds of years ago, your senior brother sent to mortality from this very spot." With that, he handed each of them a peculiar object of a violet color and said, "This is a pill to aid your ascension. Quickly, my disciples, consume it." The disciples, filled with excitement, immediately swallowed the larva-like objects. A few hesitated only to see a terrifying and disgusting scene. The disciples, taking the pills, had transformed into flat-headed, fleshy worms. Horrified, they questioned their master. Shaking, the master shook his head and sighed, "When your arm tear rises, your courage fails, which makes you unfit to become immortals." Before his sigh had ended, the disciples who had transformed into worms lunged at them. What the fuck, man? Yeah, it's just a fucking scam.
We are in Rome.
Yeah, you're gonna become a fucking flathead worm in a minute, motherfucker. That's also Purple and Peach is also pretty good.
Mine eyes doth see the Tao from the confines. It retains the energy of both this world and beyond. Each pill is a means to an end. My destiny's course.
Was not leaving so soon.
Rising look. Open forth the sometime.
Yeah, Sword Taoists, they're fucked. At least in my opinion. Ooh, meditation's fun. Has more health than the sword Alice though. Yeah.
I will kill you. Immortal's Guide. Rising low. Spreading.
Yeah, these guys are fucked.
Wings.
I'd rather die.
Oh, that was badass. So here's the thing. I did it too fast. I pressed triangle. So you can't press triangle by itself too fast. You gotta wait. But I got up to one and I did that. Just got a parry attack. But I pressed one and I did pretty damn good. Yeah, I did one. Yeah, I was pretty damn good. So basically, when it charges one and two, you can do multiple attacks. Yeah. Fruit of Tao. That seems interesting. Yeah, wish I parried his attack more, cause yeah, When you compare your attack, I could have like did more to the guy and beat him a bit more not easier, but it's what it is at this point. Beetle Commander. 7 more minutes left. We got guys. When faced with traps, one must pass the test. When fortune smiles, do know when to rest. If a man of great will must vent his zest, trade deeds for fame and rank with the best. A young man from the village of Shaded Heights served at the county yamen, running errands for the local government. The magistrate despised him and hindered his advances at every turn. One day, the magistrate learned of a Yaguai haunting the village of Longshi. He sent the young man to investigate alone and hoped he'd never return. Aware of the magistrate's ill intent, the young man accepted the task without hesitation. He chose not to beg for his life in this. As he entered the desolate, eerie village, he was overcome with regret, but as night fell, without knowledge of the mountain paths, he had no choice but to stay. Yeah. He found a less dilapidated house with intact eaves, barred all doors and windows, and lit a lamp to steel himself for a long night. Planning to depart at first light, fear gripped him at midnight, so he practiced his swordplay to calm his nerves. After a while, a deep voice rose from the darkness above the rafters. I am a Yaguai of this ridge. I meant to kill you, but with your fine swordsmanship and official blade, you must be a Yaman runner, yes? The young man was startled, but needed to watch his woes. He shared his ordeal with the Yaguai and drew sighs of empathy. Yaguai said, I too was once an Imperial Guard, but a treacherous court official cursed me into a beetle to scrape by in these heels. I long for death, but I still wish to pass on my sword skills to someone worthy. Now, if you're willing to learn my skills, I offer to teach you. The young man dared not refuse, as he agreed. A beetle over 3 meters tall descended from the shadows. Its neck bore a thick carapace like a general's helm. The beetle wielded twin blades with a steadfast and forceful style that suited the young man's disposition. Overjoyed, the young man practiced with the beetle by the fading lamplight till dawn. As they parted ways, the beetle said kindly, the world these days is full of those lacking talent and virtue and ascending through flattery. Why tangle with them and sully yourself? Aim higher, a man should carve his own path. With a hearty laugh, the beetle left. The encounter changed the young man. He resigned from his position in the yamen and enlisted in the border armies. His superb swordsmanship elevated him to the rank of general, leading the troops against foreign foes. He won victory after victory and became a famed commander. Did he become the beetle commander? Shit. Yeah. I forgot I still had that shit. I forgot I had this shit. I need to pay attention. Yeah, maybe it's... He's a con man. Anti-miasma powder is very great for this level. He's just a worker for me. Yeah. We all good. All right, so all right for some guys. We're going to 3 out. Peace with you, Daniel, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.